All right, welcome back, folks, to For the Republic. I'm your host, Lewis. That's my friend here, my very good friend, KD.
Hello, how are
And
you?
very good. And there were only two men left, and Nikki Haley. And so there's two men left, and Nikki Haley, who could also become a man. We don't know. That's also possible. She could become. She might be a man. We don't know yet because her boots
Maybe
are
she,
assault
maybe
white.
she's also brown too.
She might be brown.
Yeah.
But there's only two guys left. It is official. Rob DeSantis, high heel boots Rob DeSantis, has officially dropped out of the race, going back to Florida, and he has endorsed Donald Trump. Not surprising. It was over from the beginning. The national nightmare is over. No more national boot gate. No more embarrassing robot cringy behavior on debate stages. No more weirdly loud laughs and wiping your boogers and shaking hands at the same time. No more pudding and empty diners. No more cringy influencers who use bots. No more older white men in Florida with white hair named Bill freaking out over everything. Everyone legitimately claims. No more people backstabbing you, liking you, and then backstabbing you when they figure out that you actually don't like their candidate because he is a boring, uncharismatic robot from Lizardville. And
Mhm.
so it's over. It's done. No more. Ron DeSantis is going back to Florida to um I don't know, eat sandwiches and try on
Hasta la
heels.
vista, baby.
Yeah, he's it's done. It's over. We did it. We did it, guys. We did it. We took him out. Um I think it was over. What did I tell you? I said it's over. He's out before New Hampshire. Someone go back and check the tape. I don't think he makes it to South Carolina, and I definitely never thought he'd make it to Super Tuesday because
I believe you did say that, yes.
everything his campaign and everything his influencers hitched his wagon on was wait for January 15th, wait for January 15th, wait for the 15th, wait for the Iowa. Because everything they pitched us was polls don't matter. It doesn't matter what you see on Twitter. It doesn't matter who endorses Donald Trump. They believe that because they got the endorsement of Bob Vanderplat, the evangelical Christian in Iowa, who by the way got paid off to do that. He got paid $95,000 to endorse him. He lies about it all the time. But how do you endorse somebody and then get $95,000 from his super PAC? Make that make sense. The governor, who is insane, Kim Reynolds endorsed him. He thought that would carry him over, and then he thought that, he had Fox News with him, and he had most of the donors with him, and he was given $100 million, and he wasted pretty much all of that nationwide. And I think he spent in Iowa about 20 something $million and lost. And he lost. He didn't even capture a county, which I'm sure if you were running and you think, okay, well, he got 20% of the vote, he must have won at least one county, right? But no, it's because he was either second place or third place in every county. There's not one county where Ron DeSantis won.
All
And
right.
so that just obliterated everything, every projection, every path, every idea, every theory or dream in their heads that gave them the idea that they could actually pull it off was over because he was virtually horrible. He was virtually unelectable in New Hampshire. There was no way he was going to win. He was pretty much in Vivek status, Vivek levels in New Hampshire, very low in the polls. Then we go to South Carolina and Nevada. Well, I mean, what's the point of campaigning there if you haven't even gotten to the other two? And when you're telling everybody, hey, yeah, forget everyone else. We're going to beat Donald Trump in Iowa. You know, Trump didn't even win Iowa in 2016.
Oh
Ted
no,
Cruz won.
no, he didn't. Yeah.
And here he comes out of nowhere and he beat everybody out. He was over for the first time in history. A Republican primary has been won with over 50% of the vote.
Yeah, it was
He
massive for
won
him. Yeah.
for most of the night. He won every single county. By the end of the night, by the end of the election totals, he won every county except for one. And Ron DeSantis wasn't the winner of that one. It was Nikki Haley. So that's why she's still in it. She feels like she won. If you listen to her interviews today and this past week, she feels like she's in the lead, like she's winning. She's gonna win. I don't know what, but she feels like she's going to win something.
What kind of world is she living at?
Exactly. How much money do you have to get paid to behave like that? Is the question. How much money are you getting paid to believe that?
It's gotta be big bucks.
Exactly. I think that's. And I told you, the only reason she stays in is for the money. She knows she's not going
Yeah,
to win. No one,
yeah,
everyone knows she's not going to win. And the reason why this became such a disaster for Ron is his lackluster performance in polls, his cringe influencer army, which is ridiculous. I've interacted with them so much over the past couple months, going back and forth, roasting them, even after this. These are people that are miserable. They are not nice people. They are snakes. They are grifters. They jumped off Trump when things got hard and then went off to Ron DeSantis. And now that he's done and crashed and burned, and he's heading back to the swamp in Florida, they want to jump back on it with us. Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. But this is the support system he had. So people look at that. People are not mainstream anymore. People are online more. They get their news online. A lot of them get their news on Twitter. They go to podcasts. They go to Rumble. They're going to different forums. They're not going to the typical turn on channel 7 and ABC or whatever. They're not doing that anymore. They're going
yeah.
online. So people
Right.
have a presence online, and they see that some people seem to be more energetic. There's more energy. We make fun. We're livelier. But the random scientist people are, why does no one like me? Ah, you're stupid. There's a difference. There's a
Mhm.
difference. People
Yeah,
see that. So we could talk about, them and us and whatever the fuck later. But there's a reason. That's a reason why you would say, well, why did the donors betray him? Why did the donors who loved him and crowned him? How come they moved on to Nikki? If Nikki Haley is, she doesn't have a record like Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis could stand on a record at least and say, I'm one of the best governors in the country. Nikki Haley can't. So what happened? Well, it has to be internal. Remember, Ron DeSantis towards the end realized that he had campaigning issues, he had a staff issue, and he had a marketing issue. And none of those were fixed. Whether it because of Casey DeSantis, which I throw a lot of blame at, whether it because of the people he hired, whether it's because it's the Trump snakes, the Trump ex-Trump snakes that he got grifted on, or that grifted him pretty much. All of that's a combination, but that was a big reason why we are now here, that he's out. Because yes, he could be on paper, on paper, he could be a good candidate, but the person doesn't allow him to be because he doesn't know how to be personable. And people say, well, sometimes, I've met him in person, like Megan Kelly says, I've met him, he's funny, but he does have that problem. Well, that's an issue.
yeah.
I get it.
Right.
He lost now, but that's still going to be a problem in 4 years. How
Oh
is
yeah.
he
Oh yeah.
going to fix
Definitely.
that problem in 4 years of I need to have a personality? It's insane to me with his resume that he just doesn't have a personality. I don't get it, but that's sort of that's how life works, I guess. You can't have it all. And not to say that Trump has it all, but he has what people want. He has what people want and what people
Yeah. I guess you can also say that maybe the media was shifting more towards Nikki Haley than Ron DeSantis. Maybe that also played a huge role with why donors are switching from Ron DeSantis to Nikki Haley.
well, you remember the donors control the mainstream media. So when the donors flip on you, they tell the media to flip on you because they
Okay.
control the media. They control the message. The message flips. And
Mhm.
that's why when Ron DeSantis was falling in the polls, who was magically switched? It was like they flip-flopped. They
Mhm.
literally just switched names. The numbers stayed the same. They just switched. Because everybody who virtually supports Nikki Haley was formerly supporting Rob DeSantis. And everyone who stayed with Ron, well, that's who originally was with him.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they just switched. So if that never happened, if that never happened, it doesn't mean that Rob wins. It's just that the numbers switch. He wins a county. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean he's going to win though, because that 50 something percent that voted for Trump isn't voting for Trump because the donors flipped. No, it's because if you go to the data, when CNN and all these other people got these polls and exit polls and said, how long had you made your final choice? Well, they made their final choice, you know, a long time ago. 82% had already made their mind up before the debates, before everything started. They knew. that's kind of what this primary has been like. It's, well, everyone who's voting for Trump is still voting for him. There's nothing that's going to discourage them. The indictments don't make them scared. Now, in the general, that's a different conversation because independents tend to be more left leaning, unfortunately.
Sadly, yes.
Yes. Now, does that mean RFK is going to grab them and take them away from Biden? The suburban moms who are just, stupid most of the times. And I'm not insulting them. This is accurate because
No,
there's
you're
no
you're
way.
no you, no you are insulting them.
Well, they deserve it because they're the reason we have Biden. They're the reason. So when all these suburban moms go for yoga and Pilates and complain about immigration and the economy and inflation and Whole Goods is more expensive and Trader Joe's is more expensive, well, it's their fault because they voted for them.
Mm, right.
Literally.
Well, you were pretty much spot on with your prediction with Ron DeSantis. What I had in mind after we discussed in our last podcast, I thought that Ron will be in New Hampshire, then they would see the result, and after New Hampshire, he would drop out the race. That was my prediction. But you know what this also means? You can't talk shit no more.
No, yeah, I can certainly talk shit, and I definitely will. What are you talking about? Like that I can't. What? I'm gonna. This means I can. I'm more free. I have more time to do it. There's less at stake. I'm more freer. I can go all out now. Because see, a lot of those people, we only have a couple minutes left before we have to go to break. A lot of those people now want to jump ship and join us after pretty much insulting people. And I know you weren't really involved in that, but just so you know how they were, these are miserable people. These are
Oh no.
people who are
Oh,
on that side who, when you criticized their candidate, it wasn't let me see why you criticized them. It was how dare you, and this is all the reasons you're such a bad person. See, we don't do that, right? We tell you, okay, well, you think the indictments are bad. I don't think you're a horrible person. I'm not saying that to you. I'm not
right,
saying
right.
you're such a retarded, you're such a stupid person. No, I'm telling you, well, the indictments are wrong because they're obviously criminal, they're obviously politically guided. There's a reason the indictments are there, right? Trump is
Right, yeah.
indicted for political reasons. It's not because he committed a crime.
Hmm.
If the
Hmm.
bank, example, like an example, they tell us about the one with the New York one with about the bank. It's like, well, if the bank verified the loan and thought it was all the paperwork and all the financials worked out and they're happy with it. They got paid, by the way. It's not like the loan they defaulted. They paid back the loan. Trump paid back the loan. That's it. We offer those type of explanations, right? We give an explanation as why we believe it's a sham indictment, but they don't. See, right? Remember when Tucker was on Timcast with Charlie Kirk and Tim
Oh
and
yes.
all the other ones, and he said, you know what? Some of these people in the DeSantis camp, they're some of the dumbest, just etc. people I've ever seen, and they're the reason they're holding him back. Well, obviously he insulted them, but with good reason because he had been insulted, and he saw how they had been so insulting to Trump people, and they were. I was there. I saw it all the time. I had been called a cultist, stupid. Like, imagine you're telling me you're too stupid to vote for my candidate, but you should vote for him. How does that work?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they voted for him before.
Exactly. And they voted for Trump before, but they're saying that we're now too stupid to vote for DeSantis. But you should still vote for DeSantis. How do you think you're going to get votes when those are the people that support you? See, the people that supported him were the problem because those big influencers, as big as they really weren't, because they're not that big, there was no one on the level of Laura Loomer or Wake Up with Linda or Charlie Kirk or all the other ones who could push support in a positive fashion like they do. They don't have anybody. It's not Steve Deasy. It's not Steve Cortez. It's not Bill Mitchell. It's not all the rest of it. It's not them. They can't do that. It's not that bot named Kaylee. It's not the Fox plants like Kaylee McEnany and all the other ones who pretend to be, who grifted off Trump, who gained success off Trump. But then when a shinier new candidate showed up, like Ron DeSantis, who turned out to be as dull as rocks, duller than rocks, they jumped wagon. They thought, oh, this is the best candidate because he's a true conservative. That's not a true conservative.
Yeah, right.
Imagine a true conservative. It's like the pro-life people. See, imagine they're mad. A true conservative. They're calling Trump. They're saying Trump's not a true conservative because he won't go full abortion ban. But that's the president who got rid of Roe v. Wade. He's not a true conservative, but you guys are.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous. See, it was always so ridiculous the way they campaign and the way they said things. People, it was very difficult for someone to buy in. That was the problem. It was always very difficult for someone to buy in, and uh,
Well, I don't disagree with the insults coming from DeSantis supporters. I mean, I've seen it too. Trust me. I'm not like like just like I don't give a shit. I've seen it, and it's really horrible. But I just don't simply think that we should just tell them, no, we don't want you because of what you said. We should still be open arms with everyone and say, like, look, we need to bring back America. We had to vote for Trump, for Donald Trump, no matter what. You know, that's why I kind of like agree to disagree on what you're saying. But no, trust me, I've seen it all. I've seen it all with the comments, and it's really disgusting. It
yeah,
really
because
is.
there's some of them that don't want to. Now, there's some that I get it. It's all politics. I just don't want it to. I
Yeah.
don't like it when because see, okay, when Kamala Harris was debating Joe Biden, she called him racist. She said he was an old
Ah,
racist,
yeah, yeah. She did.
decadent.
Yeah.
She made him seem like he was this relic that needed to go away, and
Hmm.
that she was personally affected by his racism. And is Joe Biden an old racist man? Oh yeah, sure he is. But you can't then call him that and then become his vice president and go on an interview and laugh and say, "Oh, that's just politics. It wasn't a debate." Because then that tells me everything you say is a lie. Nothing you say really matters because if you call somebody a racist on a debate stage in order to profit from it in terms of votes or money or whatever, and she did go up in the polls. Remember, she was a superstar until Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her
Yeah,
completely.
she really did. Yeah.
She was polling in the 20s in
Hmm.
a crowded Democratic primary. People say, oh, 20s. But that's a crowded Democratic primary. She was one of the top dogs at that point. And then she goes on to be his vice president after calling him all these things, which may be true. And people might say, oh, it is true. But then she says, oh, no, it's not because it's a debate. I was just debating. That doesn't matter. Forget it. And people just glossed over and said, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a debate. See, I don't want that to happen again because if Trump comes and opens his arms and says, everything I said about you doesn't matter anymore, well, it should matter because there are things that are true. And if people see that, they say, well, wait a second. Does anything you say really matter then? I get it. Bring him in, but should we really trust this guy to stay with us when things get tough? Remember,
Right.
before he
Yeah.
announced he was running, when Trump was indicted for the first time, what did Ron DeSantis do? He didn't go out and say, at the first thing he say was, we are not going to allow the government to come into Florida and to take a citizen of the state on a sham trial. He didn't say anything about that. What did he say? He said, oh, I don't know anything about paying prostitutes or paying porn stars. I don't know anything about hush money.
Hmm.
He brushed it off as if it was just, oh, that's not my problem. But it
Yeah,
is
he
your
did.
problem
Yeah.
because because politicians are being elected and the president of the United States, we know, and the federal government is persecuting a leading political opponent. That was the problem, and that's what Ron DeSantis did that. So I don't, we can't trust that. So bring him in, sure, but you can bring someone in, but keep him at arm's length.
Oh yeah. No,
You can
yeah,
bring
for sure.
someone in.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. But there are people that need to be let known that I'm watching you because you said all of these things, right? You said all of these things. So we got to go to break real quick before we got to go to break real quick. We're pretty much out of time. All right, and we're back. Yeah, so we were talking about Rob DeSantis, and then we're gonna move on to the other candidate who's in the race. Though, the other one's Joe Biden, who we all care about, but
Did you say Rob?
yeah, Rob is out. And so we have Nimrata Nikki Randhawa. That's her birth name. Haley is her name through husband only.
Wait, let me see how it's
Um
pronounced. Maybe
Ra-
maybe I can do it
Randhawa.
because I'm Indian.
Nimrata Nikki Randhawa.
Nemrata Nikin Randawa.
Randhawa.
Randawa.
Randhawa. So she was born to sick parents, and so anyways, she's had one hell of a week and one hell of a month. I mean, she won a county in Iowa, and that means she won the race, according to her. She told a reporter from I think NBC that it's insane how we don't see how she's winning. She's winning right now. It's like, okay, well, in what world? But I guess when you're being paid all that money, I guess it works out. Of course you're
I
being,
guess yeah, it definitely works out with all that
of
money.
course you're winning. Yeah, you're definitely winning in life. No indictments, nothing, no problems. You're winning nothing, but in your world you are.
And also you're
Um,
brown too.
she was racist. She says one day in one interview she says America's never been racist. All right, but I'm gonna dispute that because yes, it has. That doesn't mean to say that it's racist now, but it has definitely been in some parts of the country extremely racist. The Ku Klux Klan existed. Don't like I hate when conservatives do this. To they like to say America's not racist. It's like yeah, not now, but it was, and we've done
Hmm.
better. Instead, they
Hmm.
say it's never been racist. Everything's been great. It's like
Hmm.
how stupid do you think people are? Who are you helping with this? Like who is? And then she goes on and said, I'm a victim of racism. And then she went on to say, I'm brown. And she is a brown woman. And the only reason she's not winning or polling higher is because she is brown and a
Fuck,
woman.
what the fuck is she on about? She white as snowflake.
And so is white as hell. Now, if she said it's because I'm Asian, okay, that makes sense. But you're not brown. I'm brown. You're brown. And I'm not really brown. I'm whiter.
I'm whiter than you.
We're both white, right? Anyways, but like who gives a shit though? It's like
I'm a
this is
white
what it's
man.
come to. Say she started off as saying by saying we in the Republican Party we don't look at race. To now, yeah, if you don't vote for me, it's racist.
Yeah,
What?
she's flip. Yeah, she's like flip flopping everything.
Yeah, because she's losing, but in her world, she's winning. It's hilarious and insane and stupid.
Yeah, she's definitely trying to find ways to gain some kind of popularity when it comes to race and all that stuff.
Yeah, but no one's buying it because see the people,
No,
the
no,
race
no one's
baiters
buying it.
hate her.
Hell no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no one likes her because her support isn't real. Like who I'm trying to figure out who is a Nikki Haley supporter. What would you like about it? I don't understand it. I just don't understand what would you like about this? Is this just the neocons? I guess. You like Mitt Romney. But I just don't see 20% of you in Iowa just love Mitt Romney. That's you want Mitt Romney in a wig. That's literally it. You want Mitt Romney in a
ooh,
wig. You'd
sexy.
like it, but I don't. You want an Indian Mitt Romney with a wig. That's Nikki Haley right for you. That's Nikki Haley.
Hmm.
But I did want to see because people are coalescing around Donald Trump. We have people coming out, big time people coming out and saying things that we would have never expected them to say. Although this person I should have because he has said things like this before and he's much more reasonable. But big people saying things. An example is the CEO of the CEO of J.P. Morgan,
Ah, right. Yeah, this saw this one.
Jamie Dimon, came out and said things to the mainstream media about Donald Trump, which surprised the hell out of me. We're going to react to it real quick.
And it surprised them too.
Surprised everybody. I don't think he was surprised. I think he's not far left. He's a liberal, but not crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it's extremely significant that he would have said this. If he says it, it says a lot. And I'm sure he has said this to the Biden administration, to the campaign. Hey, you're going to lose if you keep acting like this. And I think they're not listening, obviously. So I think he
Hmm.
came on TV and said what he really thinks. And I think he was significant. He is a very powerful person, very influential. They manage trillions of dollars every day. We're talking about over $10 trillion every day. They manage, or he manages, because he's at the top.
You
Let's
know,
take a listen to this.
look, I do
How
got
do you
that kind
see
of
the
money too.
U.S. economy playing itself out over the next 12 months? This is an election year. We've been talking a lot about what just took place in Iowa and trying to understand how the American public is going to feel about the economy may ultimately dictate how the president is decided.
Yes, I agree with that. I think it's a mistake to assume that everything's hunky-dory. And, and when stock markets are up, it's kind of like this little drug we all feel. Like, it's just great, But remember, we've had so much fiscal and monetary stimulation. So I'm a little more on the cautious side, that we are facing a lot of things in 24 or 25. And we mentioned Ukraine, the terrorist activity in Israel, the Red Sea, quantitative tightening, which I still question if we understand exactly how that works. I don't think we do. How QE actually worked, what the effect of negative, zero rates was for all this time, and obviously the politics, and and then the Ukrainian war is affecting oil gas, food, migration. So you have all these very powerful forces that are going to be affecting us in 24 and 25. So if I was the government, I would be preparing for what I'm going to do about that, assuming things aren't good. And I just also want to point out, I wish the Democrats would think a little more carefully when they talk about MAGA, and if you travel this country, and the country's unbelievable. We took our bus trip this year, and Leslie Picker was on Spokane and Boise and Bozeman. People are growing. They're hungry to grow. They're innovating. It's everywhere. It's not just Silicon Valley. So we've got this great hand. But when people say MAGA, they're actually looking at people voting for Trump, and they think they're voting, and they're basically scapegoating them, that you are like him. But I don't think they're voting for Trump because of his family values. Now, if you look, just take a step back, be honest. He was kind of right about NATO, kind of right about immigration. Mm-hmm. He grew the economy quite well.
China virus.
Tax reform worked. Mm-hmm. He was right about some of China. I don't like what he did.
No, I said China virus.
Yeah, I understand.
He made
China virus.
And I don't like how he said things about Mexico. But he wasn't wrong about some of these critical issues. And that's why they're voting for him. And I think people should be a little more respectful of our fellow citizens. And when you guys have people up here, you should always ask the why. Not like it's a binary thing. You're supporting Trump, you're not supporting Trump. Why are you supporting Trump?
It's hard to hate 75 million of your fellow Americans. And
I agree.
It's done crazy.
And, the Democrats have done a pretty good job with the deplorables, hugging onto their Bibles and their beer and their guns. I mean, really? Can we just stop that stuff and actually grow up and treat other people with respect and listen to them a little bit? And I do think the economy will affect. And I think this negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign.
Yeah, I'm proud to be MAGA.
Thoughts?
No, yeah, it really did surprise me as well. I didn't really expect his view on that whole thing. He is right, though. The more you talk about MAGA, the more it's going to hurt you guys. It really is. I mean, let him do it.
Yeah, let him do it. I mean, I think
let him do it.
It goes back to something I've said, I think, to you before, not on the show, I think. I don't know if I said it on the show, but Democrats never really figured out or tried to care to figure out why they lost in 2016. Why did they lose? What were the underlying things? And even if someone from the campaign says, "Oh yeah, we know why we lost," then it's, "Oh, we don't really care." And it's also, and it's a cynical way to think that the people who you elected, or supposedly the majority of the country elected in 2020, those people don't care. They don't like you. They despise you. Your government despises you and your country because they feel that because they won 4 years later, that they don't have to figure out why they lost the 4 years before in 2016.
They probably got in the bag
because of
now.
those reasons. Because people didn't want to. People were sick and tired of seeing the Europeans stick their nose down at us, yet we subsidize their entire defense, right?
Yeah.
Or the immigration problem that had been plaguing us for over 25, now even close to 30 years, that hasn't been really fixed. Politicians promising to fix that problem, but never doing. Some politicians talking about barriers, walls, etc. No one ever doing it. People looking at the Mexican government rip us off on trade, immigration, the economy, etc. China, the threat. We saw all the jobs leave to them over the past 15 years under Bush, Obama, etc. People were tired of that. They don't address that issue on the Democratic side. What do? See, the Biden, they've kept tariffs, but they don't address the underlying issues. They think that Mexico can have all the jobs, and so can we. But that's not real, though. See, that's not how things work. Those jobs left. Even if when they leave China, as they are, they're not going to come back here because we haven't built an environment under Biden that would make them want to come back here. They're going to go to India or Africa or Mexico or somewhere else in Europe. Eastern Europe has a lot of these. They go to Eastern Europe. That's the west as they go.
Yeah.
Canada, even for some reason, or South America. So they never addressed that. So when he said, I think what he's saying is there were things that they got right that we could incorporate, right? That Democrats could incorporate because Democrats used to be the party for the worker, the party for the low class and the middle class. Now it's mostly just a high class party. It's abandoned all that. It likes unions because it likes the union leaders, but it doesn't care about the union people.
Nope.
It doesn't. And they need to realize that quickly. But that's the reality. They never figured out the reasons why they lost. And so they have this huge conundrum of not understanding. And now they've evolved into, I just don't care, right? They've evolved into, I don't care why they vote for Trump. Even if I figure it out, I just don't like them. I don't like them because most of the people that vote for Trump are white, they're older, they've served this country, and we despise everything they love.
Christians. Yeah.
They love religion, whether they're Indians, and Indians are going to vote for Trump more this year, whether they're Sikh or Hindu, whether they're Buddhists. Well, Buddhist isn't really a big thing here, but whether they're Christians of whatever denomination, whether they're Jewish, they don't like those people. They don't like religion, people that believe in religion, because they won't believe in their religion, whether it's the climate change, whether it's globalism, whether it's Marxism, those religions, those fake religions that they believe in. They don't like farmers because they feel that farmers ruin the earth, but they don't know where the food comes from. See, every
Yeah.
single thing that the Trump movement, this big tent that we've built from people of all different backgrounds, low-class immigrants in the Bronx and along the border, Hispanics that voted for Trump in record numbers in 2020, those people are still there. The Latinos in Florida that the Democrats now hate and call white supremacists because they won't vote for them anymore, because all they care about is power, by the way. All those people are coming into this party and they don't know why. They seem to think, well, how did it happen? They must be racist. But they're not looking at the issues that these people care about: the rise of communism. These people care about globalism. They don't like it. They don't like communism. They don't like globalism. They don't like anything collectivist. They don't like the attack on meritocracy. They don't like the attack of schools. They don't like the gays and the trans and the drag queens and drag kings going into the schools and changing the libraries, changing the curriculum, creating events, indoctrinating your children. They don't like any of that. So,
Yeah. Right.
well, that's what all these people complain about. But this party that Jimmy Dimon's a part of, he's saying, wake up. You can't just attack them. They're people. They live here. They pay taxes. They serve our country through the military. They serve our country on the border and police force, and they're teachers, etc., whatever. They serve our country through farming, through trucking, through manufacturing, all of that. You can't just attack them. You have to understand why they vote that way. And maybe we can, but they don't listen to that. They don't want that.
Yeah. Honestly, when was the last time you ever heard a conservative or done like a conservative played a race card and actually worked? When
Never.
was it? When? Yeah, exactly.
No, Larry Elder can't.
No.
Larry Elder can't do it.
Have you
Vivek
seen?
tried to do it. Nikki's gonna do it. And no one likes her.
She's been doing it. It's really dumb. I don't know if you saw this video, but she was playing the race card when she was in her small town, the only Indian in the area. She was called brown like every single day. I don't know if you saw that video.
No, I've seen her talk about her saying. I heard the one where she said there's no racism in our history, and then I heard the one where she was talking about how she's brown all the time. How that, and I heard the one where if you don't vote for me, it's because you're racist. I heard that one. I don't know if it's the same one, but I've heard that one.
Yeah, you kind of want to question, like, is it gonna work for a conservative?
No,
For them to
because it
do
never
that?
has.
Yeah,
It never
exactly.
has.
I
It didn't
kind
work with Ben Carson. When Ben Carson ran,
right,
did they like people? And he polled high. He was like high polling individual in the beginning, up to
Yeah.
even after Iowa, he was polling high. People
Mhm.
didn't. The media disrespected him. They said that he was asleep. They said that he had no focus. They said that he was a child problem. This was a very successful brain surgeon, very successful. Historically, just incredible career. Had done things that Obama could never do. Grew up in an environment Obama never grew up in. Well, people view Obama as being authentically black, even though Ben Carson lived in a more authentically black neighborhood. He grew up in the ghetto. He grew up with several children. He grew up with a single mom. He grew up in an environment that has led thousands and millions of black men down to the dirt. But he succeeded. But Obama grew up in the upper middle class. He went to private schools in Africa. He went to private schools here. He went to Harvard. He went to the best. He never suffered what most black men in this country suffer, unfortunately. Unfortunately. It's not to say that all black men are poor, but guess what? Yeah, they are. They grow up in the poverty line. That is the fact.
Yeah.
Yet they attack black men that don't follow the groupthink of being a liberal or just being an ideologue of the Democratic Party, or not even having political ideas. They just vote for them because they think those people care, but they don't. So when one of them comes along, like Regis and Ben Carson, Harry, Henry Kane used to be that back in 2012. They mocked him. They ridiculed him. They said he was incompetent, that he was stupid, that no one black liked him. All of those things. And this was a successful businessman. He was a CEO, very successful. They mocked him. They thought he was stupid. They did the same to Ben Carson. They do the same to Tim Scott. They do the same thing to the what's the one that's in they did the same thing to Herschel Walker. They did the same one to Burgess Owens
Right.
who's in Congress.
Yeah.
They
Right.
attack Candace Owens all the time.
Mhm.
They won't let you do that. See, you could be black, but they don't. As soon as you say I'm black, but I vote for the Republican Party or I don't vote for a Democrat, you're insane. You're
Yeah.
not right. Something's wrong with you. You're not a good person. They bring up all these other things that many of their supporters are. See, Cardi B campaigns for the Democratic Party, but we all know she roofied men. We all know she's ghetto. We all know she can't read above a fifth grade reading level. We all know that. She is not what you should want to be. A toxic society has propelled her to the top. But when actually educated people who live good lives, healthy good lives, like like Justice Thomas, that's another good example, attacked
Thomas
all the
Sowell.
time.
Yeah.
They never uplift those people. They don't.
Right.
They want their people, even though those are bad. So that's the reason why we never win with the race card. Because first of all, we never built anything on the race card. We never said that. We never
Very
celebrated
true.
Marco Rubio as, oh my God, the first Hispanic senator. No, but the Democrats did. They built up Barack Obama as a god. Barack Obama is a god in their view, or
And
what?
they've been building it for a long time too. So I kind of want to share this little video with Nikki
Yeah, go
Haley
ahead.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
You can participate in this one, yes. All right.
Let's see, the audio is working.
We were the only Indian family in our small southern town. I was teased every day for being brown. So anyone that wants to question it can go back and look at what I've said on how hard it was to grow up in the deep South as a brown girl. Anybody can look at my record and see when Walter Scott was shot down by a dirty cop, how I made sure that the Walter Scott family didn't suffer because we put the first body camera bill in the country in place. Anybody can look at the fact that when we had 9 amazing souls die in Mother Emanuel Church.
Yeah,
I saw this. I saw
think I only saw like the shorter clip of it. I didn't see anything
I saw
past
this.
this.
I saw this. Yeah, I saw this. I saw it. I
I did
forget
something
those
that
two.
no
Those two made me
Republican
laugh.
or
Those two
Democrat
made me
ever
laugh.
wanted to touch, which was call for the Confederate flag to come down because it would take 2/3 of the House and Senate and was an impossible feat. I don't know what you're implying with that, but what I will tell you is saying that I had black friends is a source of pride. Saying that I had white friends is a source of pride. If you want to know what it was like growing up, I was disqualified from a beauty pageant because I wasn't white or black, because they didn't.
Whoa. She used to be in a beauty pageant?
No, they disqualified her from being one as a kid because they're saying, as she says, because she wasn't white or black, she was Indian. I mean, I don't know if I could see that happening, but I don't know how that matters now.
I don't understand, especially if it's you're brown and Indian. It's just so weird because it's like you would
Where is
never
this coming from?
yeah, you never really expect an Indian doing this like at all. I find it so weird and
Well, since
cringe.
when is she really Indian? Because see, she worked for Trump, right? I remember her when I can remember her going all the way as back as 2015 when everyone came to South Carolina and she was the governor still. She was the governor. And everybody was trying to get her endorsement. Everyone tried to get her support. Everybody. And I'm talking about everybody. She didn't really like Trump since then. That's why she's always been not as pro-Trump. She only the fact that she got the job with him was surprising back then. It was a surprise. It was more of a deal making thing. And then when she gets the job, she's all of a sudden pro Trump. Well, I knew that. We all knew that was bullshit if you really go back in the history books.
Well, let's
She
go that,
never
but it's
mentioned
just
anything about being brown or being Indian.
yeah,
No
right,
one knew anything.
yeah.
No one knew. I knew she was Indian because I looked her up, but she never talked
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
Yeah,
I just find it so weird and all that.
exactly. Okay, let's finish.
know
This.
where to put me. So look, I know the hardships, the pain that come with racism. It's the reason that I fight bullies every day when it comes to racism, anti-Semitism, or hate, and I always will. If I didn't mention
fuck did
slavery
you
on
do?
that day, it's because that's an automatic. There's always been, the Civil War's always been known about slavery.
Okay, I
Your
mean
lips look
that's
like you've
fine,
been
but
slammed by a book.
I just don't see why we're talking about it. I mean, what was she asked? I don't remember. I don't remember. Was she asked about this or?
I don't know.
It's the only reason why you should be talking about it. Maybe they. And I remember these two. These two were the ones who asked Vivek about the question about the I think it was about the white supremacy and all that. They're the ones who went up to
Uh,
Vivek, and the fat one was looking back at him with these like crazy eyes.
this was during the debate or like one of
No,
the
this is no,
speech?
obviously not. This was they did an interview just like it.
Oh, okay, interview. Okay.
Yeah, this is not their first time interviewing a candidate. They interviewed Vivek before this too.
I mean, honestly, she is literally the Hillary Clinton of the Conservative Party. It's just so weird. Like, when did this all started with her just bringing up racism and her skin color?
Well, now because she's it's just two men and now her. Yeah, but who gives? I mean, she's not going to win anything. We know what's going to happen in New Hampshire, and he's going to win. But I have a feeling, and I said it. I've said it on Twitter and everything. The only way she wins is because Democrats vote, and they are allowed to vote. Democrats and independents can vote. They could sabotage this,
She ain't gonna win.
but
I
she can't.
promise you. I promise you guys with this fucking Ritz right here, she ain't gonna win.
You're autistic.
You ain't gonna
Anyways,
win.
let's move on to the next thing because it's over. I think. What about Rob? What about Trump? Oh, we talked about that already. Yeah, everyone's coalescing, and Nikki Haley, it's done. People are starting to say things that they wouldn't have said earlier.
Trump 2024, baby.
Yeah, let's talk about that other. I want to talk about the other thing that happened. There's this debate about the immigration laws, and now then there's this kid who says, you know what? If you wanna do immigration, that would go against our history. We need to get rid of Lady Liberty. And it's obviously the stupidest thing because he doesn't know his history. So let's listen.
Lady Liberty. Oh, Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, they call her Lady Liberty. All right, let's listen to your best friend here. Your friend, Mr.
Yeah, my boy Jamal.
His name probably is Jamal, but we'll figure it out later.
To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's be honest with immigrants who deserve better than what you're offering them. Don't welcome immigrants if you plan to reject them. If you keep pushing your bigoted H.R. 2 bill, then also pass this bill. I've taken the liberty of drafting it for you. It removes the Statue of Liberty, our largest symbol that tells people to come here. This is who you are, removing the fabric of America. So I want to know which Republican who supports and voted for H.R. 2 will introduce this bill. To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, let's be honest with immigrants who deserve better than what you're offering them.
All right, fuck
Don't
that guy.
welcome immigrants if you plan.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I mean, honestly, it's like I don't.
What's his name?
I have no idea. It looks like I forget what it was, but I have no idea now. I know he's a new star. He's one of the youngest ones.
Your new star.
For them, yeah, he's one of the younger. He's like our age.
Like they're a bunch of
No,
celebrities.
he's literally like our age.
Florida Democrat Maxwell Alejandro Frost on hot mics after accusing Republicans of trying to take down Statue of Liberty, asking, quote unquote,
Jamal
what
Frost.
the hell is the Statue of Liberty?
He is only 27 years old.
Florida Democrat.
The Orlando area. He replaced Val Demings, the woman who lost to Marco Rubio.
This dude's got one of the fattest noses I've ever seen in my life.
He is Baptist. Let's see. He was one of the Democrats who received about $1 million in support from Sam Bankman-Fried and his PAC. His parents are Lebanese, Argentinian, and a Haitian father.
Oh, get rid of him.
He was
Fuck.
adopted at birth to a special ed teacher who migrated from Cuba, and his adopted father is a musician from Kansas. He reconnected with his birth mother in 2021. He attended a he went to college, Valencia College, but dropped out. So he didn't even graduate his college. Um, let's see. He was an activist, involved in gun violence, blah blah blah. He was arrested for the March for Our Lives BLM bullshit. Oh, gun control thing. Arrested for at a voting rights rally in Lafayette Square in 2021.
And dude's in Congress.
Let's see. He
Fuck yeah,
tried to
where
go to
is this from?
Congress in 2022. Oh, he was elected. Bernie Sanders endorsed him. He's the first Gen Z member of Congress. Um,
Fuck. Damn.
and
Our
he speaks
generation.
Spanglish. So he's Spanglish because, you can't speak Spanish anymore. You got to speak Spanglish. That's cool now because ghetto people. Well, he's just ghetto. That's pretty much it. He's just ghetto.
I mean, he's definitely a mix of everything. Dudes look retarded.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it's not gonna go anywhere. I don't know why. What's the point? Is he trying to get his 5 minutes of fame?
No, because this isn't gonna make it famous. What the fuck is he famous for? What? Nobody gives a shit about their congressman. This dude's just
Yeah,
an idiot. He
famous
knows
for
nothing
five
about his
minutes.
history. He doesn't
Famous
know.
for
He
five
knows
minutes.
nothing. The fact that there's a sitting congressman is a college dropout and is voting on key. See, this is a problem. See, people don't understand this. Yeah, everybody can be a member of Congress, but doesn't mean that yes, everybody should. They can. Just because you
Yeah.
can doesn't mean you should. I can rob a bank. That doesn't mean I should. Right? See, this is a person who has never known anything in their lives. They don't know anything. This is a college dropout. He's an artist. He's a musician. He plays music. This man knows nothing about what does he know about voting? What does he know about the history of Israel and Palestine conflict? He knows nothing about it. He's been briefed on it by other interns who are older than him or his age, who also know nothing on the subject except the political parts of it. On gun control, he doesn't know gun control because he probably doesn't know how to use a weapon. All of those things. See, these people don't know anything. They don't, and these are the people that are voting, and they despise our country. They despise it. Despise it.
How
And they
long has
don't
he
like
been?
you either.
How long has he been doing this job? He
Since
just
2023, he was sworn in last year. So this is his first term. He's going for a second. So it's the complaining. He's complaining about the fact that we want immigration control,
immigration
right?
control.
Because
Yeah.
he's pro open borders,
Yeah.
despite 15 million people in this country who, by the way, if they go to his district in Orlando, he's not going to receive them. He's not. He's going to pretend that he is. But once he sees them, he's going to do what they did in New York or Chicago
If
or
they
San
try and go
Francisco.
to his house, he's gonna bring his gun too. There's no way he's gonna bring any of them in his house.
He's going to bus them off to some other place because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And when they do it to them, they complain and scream. But they're getting a taste of what they did and his party did to red states like Texas and others for years. For years, they did this. They would bust them out to red states and say, oh, you handle it to the border states, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Southern California, which are flooded with immigrants already and are now even more flooded by all these illegals coming in. That's the biggest problem. So this is a kid who doesn't understand the history. So he says, well, Lady Liberty, the Statue of Liberty was a promise to the world to say that we would take in all your needy and your hungry and all your people. But that's not what it was about. See, the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France 100 years after the revolution and our independence to say, this is a symbol of liberty, the fight against tyranny, and to promote the peaceful relationship between the French Republic and the United States. That's what it was. It was never a promise, just because it was placed before Ellis Island, where, by the way, we had strict immigration laws. See, back in those days, See, in the beginning of the country, it was a small country and it was very insignificant to the world. The world still didn't understand how important the United States could be. There was very little
Yeah.
immigration,
Right.
very little. I'm talking about antebellum, before the Civil War. But after the Civil War, let's say 20 years after, in the industrial age, 80s and 90s, we started getting a bunch of people coming in. And we rapidly needed immigration laws. And our immigration laws were extremely strict. In fact, there was a tax per person coming in. We didn't, for 10 years, for 10 to 20 years, we didn't allow Chinese people to come to this country. We didn't allow idiots or retards or people with disabilities or people with criminal records to come into the country.
Mm.
When you came, you had to go through Ellis Island and you would be vetted. And if you weren't healthy, if you carried a disease, if your records were unable to find from places like Italy, the Italian states, or Eastern Europe, or Austria, whatever, the German states, or then the Prussian Empire, the German Empire, etc., you wouldn't be allowed in. You'd have to take a boat back to Europe. And these people didn't cross the Atlantic on dinghies. They didn't. They crossed the Atlantic on ships because
Yeah.
no one's crossing the Atlantic in that age on a wooden boat.
Nope.
They're not doing that. So it was a much different world then. In the United States, had very strict immigration laws. Now, were they open? Yeah, they took in a lot of people. But they stopped doing it because of the threat. First off, back in the days, there wasn't things like work visas. You couldn't do that. You couldn't come to the United States to just be a worker. That was illegal. And if a business brought you in to work, that company would be heavily fined, right? Because the United States had more of a protectionist view. It was, we are not going to bring in foreign competition to compete with our employees and drive down wages. We want our workers to make money, to be profitable. That was
That was
one of the,
different.
it was a big difference back then. It
Yeah.
was
Right.
different. It's not today where we let everybody and their grandmama and their cousins and their third cousins and their neighbor come in. Literally, that's what happens.
Yeah. Right. Right.
They would not be letting in 15 million people through the border. Back in those days, I highly doubt. And back in those days, it was difficult. You couldn't take a plane from Turkmenistan to. There was no planes, and you couldn't take a boat from Afghanistan or Iraq or Egypt all the way to Mexico and cross in. You couldn't do that. Too expensive and probably not doable. Very difficult. But you couldn't just come and waltz into the United States through Ellis Island and just expect to get in. They weren't doing that. And those people didn't come in and they weren't given benefits. Those people weren't given, health insurance and free housing and hotels of 5 stars. They weren't kicking out kids out of their schools in New York City. They weren't kicking out veterans out of their homes. They weren't telling you that as politicians and from the Tammany Square mafia in New York City, the Democratic machine, they weren't telling their residents, you have to take in immigrants. They weren't saying that. They were just sending them off. Build a life here. And those people built a life. They assimilated. Their children were then viewed themselves as Americans, even though their parents weren't. What we don't do today. See, people come from Latin America or they come from India, and they want the country to be a lot like where they came from, even though where they came from, there was an opportunity. Where they came from, they didn't have the freedom to do what they wanted, like women in Iran or Afghanistan or Pakistan. See, they weren't free to go to parks. But here in America, they want women to be what they can't do there. They want to, I guess, do something weird here.
They want to bring in Sharia law, but they don't like it in their own country.
Right? They escaped their own country, but they want to do it all here again, even though that country never granted them the freedom or opportunities to do or say or act in the way they ever wanted to, the way they act here. So a lot of that's the problem. And this kid doesn't know anything, but he's a sitting congressman. He doesn't understand his history. He doesn't understand the immigration laws. He doesn't understand his history, this country's history. But because of a weak education system, because of a weak media and a culture that he's grown up in, much like ours, that's toxic, he doesn't know anything.
Imagine what it would be like in the next 30 years.
Horrible. A mess. A mess.
We
Yeah,
ain't proud
so,
of our own generation.
yeah, and he's the first Gen Z congressman. I'm sorry, guys. That's not the best we have to offer.
Yeah, we can always bring in
Kids
the
like that.
we can always bring in the fat tranny, but this is the best one, apparently.
Well, just wait till Gorlock. We're gonna get Gorlock elected on the Republican ticket.
Yo, imagine.
The MAGA Gorlock, destroyer of worlds.
If you guys can't take a fat joke, then do something about it.
If you can't handle a fat joke, then lose the weight. He said, heavily breathing. Yeah, man. No, that's just ridiculous, man. These kids are so stupid these days. All right. Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna end things here. We only got a couple minutes left. We're gonna end things here. Just to recap, look, vote for Trump. Nikki is brown, and if you don't vote for her, which you hope you don't, just get ready. She's gonna say you're racist. And
Or
you
if you
know what?
guys,
You might be, and that's okay.
and that's okay.
It is okay. It's great. In fact, it's fashionable. It's very fashionable nowadays.
Or if you guys,
Um,
if you guys want, you guys can vote for me.
are you gonna be on the ballot for what? President of
Uh,
retards?
the president of the hot dog
Jeez.
eating contest.
You're gonna be in the hot dog. Well, you can vote for him for the hot dog eating contest. How many glizzies? He's the glizzy king.
I am.
That's very gay. But anyways, yeah, he's brown, he's gay, and he's the glizzy king. Vote for him. If you don't, you're racist. Yeah. So, we're done here. Like, subscribe, follow us on the nets, on the webs, on the networks. We're here. He's queer, and we're here to stay. All right. So we'll see you guys next time.
Stay racist, and the Chiefs ain't gonna win the Super Bowl.
Okay, that's random, but yeah, I'm gonna bet that they are, so they have to. All right. I'll see you guys next time, guys.